All right, back to regularly scheduled programming, back on male topics and not fucking touching anything else. Not that the video did too well, but here we are. So, I've been a male counselor for the better part of 12 months now, a bit over. And thanks to ChatGPT, I've given it all my notes and asked it to come up with the top 10 common things that I've been dealing with over the last 12 months. So, quick side note for the way that I like to deal with things. Obviously, men, therapy culture, I don't think does a great deal for men in that we're not going to get past anything by sitting and talking or thinking about our feelings. A lot of my program is to get men out and doing stuff and thinking about stuff and actionable, practical steps, as well as the writing and the ruminating that someone needs to take place to move things along. So I originally sort of started, like side point, I originally started counseling just as a glorified life coach. And then I did some studies around it just to think, well, you know what, if I'm going to be teaching or dealing with people's emotions, I better have somewhat studied. And I've started to tailor the way that I like to deal with things in that I can lead the horse, but you have to drink. You also have to be the one that takes yourself to the water to take the sip. And that's where therapy culture kind of goes wrong. Whereas if I'm counseling or life coaching and I'm telling you where to go, what the answers are, what my experiences are, why it's worked for me, why it's me, that doesn't fucking pay you nothing. That doesn't get you nowhere because there's nothing that you can get even from this next, however long this video goes for, the practical steps that you need to go out and take place. If there's, just take fucking 1 point away from this, action it, listen to the video again in a couple of days if you have to, action the next steps. So let's fucking get into it. So I've written out fucking 22 pages, well, the GPT has, with my notes. So we go through, I speak with men for about 45 minutes. I take notes on the side so I can write emails and follow up. And this is the outcome of what the fuck has been going on. And the purpose of all this, and hope that you get from watching this video, is that your problems are not unique. They're common amongst men. You deal with them, I deal with them. A lot of the stuff that I hear from people is commonplace. And it's probably best that we just get it out in the open so we can all discuss the same thing and understand that you're not broken. So let's fucking begin with point one. And this kind of goes to the fact that therapy culture and men don't clash because we sit there and ruminate on our thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Your brain is not built for peace, it's built for survival. Historically, we're thinking about the worst case scenario that can call to us. So it doesn't care if you're fulfilled, it cares if you're fucking safe, it cares if there's a tiger in the bush. It scans for danger and rehearses every worst case scenario. That's anxiety, that's approach anxiety, that's dealing with your longing, your belonging, your everything. It loops shame on repeat. If it thinks it can do so to protect you, this is why you never approach the woman. This is why you never go to the gym. This is why you're scared to feel ashamed because inevitably you'll be ostracized from the group. You're on your own. You're left for dead. You're dead. Everything boils down to the fear of you being dead, no matter what it is. So it loops shame in a downward spiral until we hit that point. It'll constantly say things like, what if they laugh at you? Don't speak up. Remember what happened last time. Stay small, stay quiet, fit in, be normal. And it's as if you've grown up in chaos, neglect, or emotional silence. Your brain has become hyper vigilant and it's learned to read every single line, to decode facial expressions, to decipher the information that you're giving, to overthink every single thing. Tell me you don't walk out of work meetings and be like, oh, did they take that well? Am I going to get fired tomorrow? Like, no, you're not going to get fucking fired. You have Workers Protection Acts. You have law to protect you to not be there. So it's time, your brain is constantly trying to protect you, but it's lying to you. A tale as old as time, and these are true stories in the depictions that I'll give you throughout. There was a boy who always got top marks, the high achiever, not because he loved learning, but because it brought mistakes. Most high achievers have this weird resentment for themselves, for their parents to continue to do better in spite of everyone else. And that's such great fuel at the onset, but it can quickly burn you the fuck out. Praise was rare, the criticism immediate, sharp, relentless. You don't get a pat on the back for meeting the standard, but you get a pat on the back for you get a fucking walloping on the back for the fail that you put in. So he's learnt. If I'm not perfect, I'm nothing. If I fail, I'm unlovable. If I speak my truth, I'll be ashamed. These are all your own thoughts. Fast forward 15 years, smart, driven, capable, but inside he still flinches. There is still this never living up to the standard of what he was put upon him. And the worst of all, he thinks that this is just normal. So your brain is a survival system. It's outdated and overactive. These aren't truths, they're responses. So if you've ever heard yourself say, I'm not good enough, no one cares about me, I'll never be anything, these are obviously extreme hyperbole that you probably don't say to yourself openly, but they're what they all boil down to, right? These are not true feelings. These thoughts are true, the feelings are not. They're echoes of pain that never get processed. Beliefs were inherited, not chosen. They are not your voice. They are not voices of moments when you didn't feel safe, internalized, recycled, or replayed. That is the first one. Do not forget that you are not your thoughts. On to step 2. Now, this one is obviously hyper spoken about throughout the internet circles, the red pill, all this kind of shit. But it goes without saying that the core belief of how men are brought up is that no one is coming to save you. You are your own man. There is no perfect mentor. There's no lottery ticket. There's no magical day where all of a sudden everything aligns and you're ready to seek what you need to achieve the goal, to start the gym, to start marathon training, to get the job, to apply for that, to approach that girl. There's no fucking magic day. You sit there and hope. You think that someone will notice. You'll fantasize about these weird ideas about what's going to happen. Or if I just did it this way, then that could happen. And all these external sources coming in to save you. And that big break lands in your lap. That life will finally start once you've been chosen. No, here's the truth. Your plan A to Z, there is no backup. There is no cavalry. There's no fucking bombers coming over. You just have to survive a certain amount of time. You have to be able to provide the bombers. So hard lesson learned. Someone that used to fantasize that someone would discover him. It's like if I can just put in enough reps of the same shit, then eventually that a boss, a coach, a woman, someone would say, you've got something. Come with me. I'll show you how. So what did this man do? He waited for confidence to appear, waited for clarity, waited for someone to initiate his life. And while he waited, others moved on. Not better men, just not smarter men, but just men who quickly realized that no one is coming to save you. And I think once we start to get that to the point, that is the turning point. Once you can get there. Responsibility without resentment. Every day you wait to be saved. You hand your power to this weird fantasy of no plan, but something will call to you and get you over the line for what you need it to be. Every day you wait. But the day you take full ownership of your health, your habits, your healing, that's the day you stop hoping and the day you start building. No more waiting to feel ready. You begin, you fail, you adjust, and you grow. A lot of you in this paragraph. And that's the difference between a boy and a man. Not bravado, not ego, but a quiet, ruthless commitment to self-responsibility without bitterness, without blame, and without begging for resources. Because no one is coming to save you, and good. That means it's yours to build. You get the applause, you get the failure. It's all on your back. So my son came out because he couldn't be asleep at 10:30. You cannot numb the pain without numbing the joy. Porn, alcohol, overworked, endless scrolling, they're not the problem, they're the escape. My escape agent, my numbing agent is League of Legends. It's something that I keep coming back to just pass 45 minutes at a time. Like, if I can just stop thinking for these next 45 minutes, I'll be good. But you know what? The quiet daily anesthetic for a deeper wound you haven't found yet, the calling is in the silence. A slow fade that you didn't notice. This one's really probably about me, right? At first, it felt harmless, a drink at the end of a long day, a few hours lost in a game or TikTok or porn, something to take the edge off, something to help you feel in control. But slowly, you're playing because you need to, the laughter gets hollow, the silence between distractions starts to feel unbearable, like something you said was fading, but you couldn't name it. I don't feel bad, you told yourself. But you didn't feel good either. You're just doing this thing that's in the way. Pain doesn't go away. It waits. You can't selectively wait the time out to feel better. They say that time sort of heals all wounds, but you can't escape it without dealing with it. You can't selectively numb one emotion. You can't close the door on sadness without shutting out joy. You can't mute grief without also muting all creativity and intimacy. When you numb pain, you don't erase it. You push it to the basement, not dealing with it, regressing, repressing it down for as far as you can, where it lifts weights, grows teeth, and waits for the lights to go out. And when you're finally laying in bed at 3 a.m. in the morning, that motherfucker crawls up on you quick smart. So, real healing starts with feeling. Sounds a bit too wussy, you know, for the men. If you want to start to grow, walk through the pain, not with distraction, not with denial, not with clenched fists or a mask of control, but with your eyes open, your heart fucking raw, and your guard down. Because that's where joy is hiding. It's somewhere in there. It's this inevitably old tale, as old as time, where you break up with someone, you sort of let your walls down, and then you feel real happy in this little area, and then some things sort of start to occur with your next relationship, so you build these walls back up, and you're constantly in this state of flux between the two. You don't heal by escaping life. You heal by entering it completely. This is my favorite one. Tip 4 is my favorite one. If you guys take nothing else away from this, after 12 minutes, take this tip away. Male anger is often grief in disguise. Anger is rarely the beginning, and it's not the source, it's the signal after the fire has been lit. The smoke pouring out is something deeper on fire, but what's underneath? We haven't been taught to feel these other emotions, you know, shame, loneliness, heartbreak, grief, all these things that do exist and men do feel, but repress. That's just gay. That's not for me, that's for wusses. Where did it all start? You were a boy once, and maybe you were ignored. Maybe you got called too sensitive. Maybe you got told to man up, stop crying, get over it, you little bitch. So you did. You swallowed all those tears, buried the confusion, and over time, the sadness hardened into something sharper. Anger. Another man doesn't get upset at another man for showing anger, because that's normal, because that's masculine. That's what we do. We get angry, right? Because sadness makes you feel powerless. But anger, it makes you feel in control, at least for the moment, until you fuck it all up. The armor we wear. Most men were never taught how to sit with vulnerability. We were taught to armor up, go stoic, go silent, pull your bootstraps up, or worse, get fucking violent, get even, get whatever you want. But behind every outburst is a crying little boy who was abandoned. A man who's never been carrying a father's wound. A lifetime of emotion locked behind a wall that doesn't know how to open. So, healing requires brutal honesty in this regard. Sit with your feelings, understand your feelings. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't grow while pretending you're not hurting. Every time you lash out without asking why, you risk bleeding onto people who didn't fucking cut you. Anger is a message, not a personality trait. It doesn't have to be that way. Asking what part of me is still hurting? What have I never allowed myself to feel? Because once you're honest with that pain underneath, you kind of come to realization about what you've been pushing away and probably what you need to bring in. You start healing that little boy that was inside you. Masculinity is not toxic. It's misunderstood. And this is kind of where the root cause of men come to me. This is a big overarching. This is a very common one. It's this ideal that men try to be a 1970s movie star or whatever the fuck we're trying to be, whatever we're trying to capture, like what traditional masculinity was to us. And it's not applauded. So you almost feel like your value and what you bring to the marketplace or whatever is not valued, right? Because masculinity is toxic. Why would you want to do that? But it's not broken, it's misrepresented. You've been told that to be a man is to dominate, to suppress, to muscle through, to show weakness, to always win. That's not strength, that's survival. We're well fucking past that. A woman doesn't want us to survive for them. Or there is no need. A woman is not fighting survival of the fittest at all times, but we're still trying to bring in that value. True masculinity is quiet. Doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to huff and puff. It holds the line when life falls apart. It's quiet, it's stoic, it moves with discipline and not impulse, and it chooses clarity over chaos. It's not the loudest in the room, it's the one who knows how to stay silent. So presence over posturing. It's not control, it's protection. It's not to dominate others, but it's to create safety for those that need it. This is perfect. It's not tyranny, it's leadership. And that's the difference. You can't offer from a place of resentment. You cannot be this masculine figure that tries to sort the world out for everyone else around it out of resentment or because it's your duty and to leave me the fuck alone whilst I deal with that. It's not a burden upon yourself if you feel that you should burden others with the outcome of how you're going to feel. This is a big point that I tried to make yesterday in the woman not working fucking fiasco that's going on here in Australia at the moment, is that if you have a woman that's not working and you build up resentment that she's taking away from the finances you were trying to build, that's where there's a cause for major fucking concern. So if you're going to be masculine and provide for your family, you need to accept that. That's an internal emotional feeling you need to conquer before you can go out and be masculine, right? Because the toxicity comes in that next aspect where the woman can't do anything because you have all the dominance. You have weaponized dominance. They lead with aggression because no one showed them patience, but masculine in itself is a gift. It's meant to build and protect in a steady world, and we don't need less masculinity. We just need more healed men fucking doing it. Oh, I don't need these. All right, we're up to the last couple. Lastly, we're up to 7, right? A woman won't fix you, and it's not her job to. Love doesn't rescue you, it reveals who the fuck you are. You won't find completion wherever she is. Every unhealed wound, every buried fear, every piece of forgotten little boy that you were, it's a mirror, not medicine. And when she gets close, it'll stir things that you probably haven't fucking realized that you haven't dealt with. All these shitty issues that you dealt with when you were a kid. And if you haven't faced those part of yourselves, you'll carry them to fix what she didn't break. To your mother, your pain instead of your partner. She can't carry what is yours to heal. This is probably one of the big fucking ones where women come in and try to fix and save the day, but it's not her job to fucking save you, to silence your doubts or to deal whatever the fuck your dad left you with, to absorb your silence and your storms and still love you at the same time whilst you're this fucking unbearable wreck that shouldn't be looked after. You'll crush her under the weight of your unmet needs, not because you're a bad person, but because you're not quite ready to be there yet. And that's where working towards that is imperative. So real love isn't to rescue you, it's responsibility. So the deepest relationships aren't made of halves completing each other, but from two wholes building upon each other. When two people have already done their fucking work, who've met themselves in their darkest times, now will choose to work together towards light. That's love, not escape, not dependency, not shared strength. So because you give your heart, give your attention, face your shadows, heal your own wounds yourself, and become the kind of man that doesn't need a woman, but can meet her with arms wide open, open fucking wounded healed wounds. So, last but not least, brotherhood and other men are not optional. It's basically born into our instinctual survival skills. You can have the six pack, the house, the side hustles, the millions of followers of your curated life, and still feel hollow because when the storm hits, you don't need likes, you need a lifeline. And alone is how the world trains you to be. You know, modern masculinity tells you to be stoic, self-made, do it in yourself in the gym, 3 a.m. You laugh with the boys on Friday, but you sort of never mention what you're dealing with at 3 a.m. You post wins and bury wounds, and isolation isn't strength. It's a slow collapse to inevitable defeat. So without other men, without brotherhood, you start to live in your own head, overthinking, numbing, pretending. It's all good. It's all okay. It'll be fine. I'm dealing with this myself. I'll eventually come out of this rocky training cutscene and be ready to go again. And shame, it loves silence. It festers in secrecy. It feeds on lies that, well, no one else would understand that I'm going through this, that I'm dealing with this. I'm trying to self-improve by myself. But someone would. Someone does. Like I said, all these things that I've just rattled off are common that I've had to see over the last 12 months. They're all pretty fucking self-explanatory. They're all dealing with what you already know. Men need men who've been through the trenches, right? So find your circle or get consumed by fire. You don't need 20 brothers, maybe 1 or 2. Men that just remind you who you are when you forget. Because iron shapes iron. But only if it touches it, only if it connects with the two, and only if it builds upon itself. The truth is you were never built to do it alone. Historically, we've never done it all alone. It's for shared laughter and silence that understands. So go find your brothers, work together, and you can work this all out. Let's rattle off to the last, most important point. You already know you're just afraid. So let's be real, you didn't need these 20 minutes. You just needed some courage. The truth is already there. You've watched a million self-improvement videos. You know where you're headed. You know where it ends. You know where it begins. You've got the information. You've got ChatGPT. But fear keeps circling back to this one block and asking for more signs, asking for what if I can just tweak this or start this idea, or I need this piece of equipment, or I need to wait till Monday, waiting for the perfect time when there never will be one. So start before you're ready, speak before you're certain, and move before it makes sense. Because clarity comes in action in motion. Catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.